Hey guys, welcome back to another video. As a belated 1000 subscriber special, I actually have a real life woman. Not all of you would have seen one, but I found it outside. So she will be around in the background, just doing her thing. So don't worry if we hear rustling or the sound of laundry. No, I'm joking. To all of the guys, she'll be around in the background. She was going to sit in, but she's not actually quite autistic enough to do this with me, so we're going to be here. Anyway, for this match we have J-Rod versus Giancarlo Bodoni, because Bodoni is just amazing at jiu-jitsu. He's one of New Wave's new guys. He's a two-time ADCC world champion. Seems very down to earth to me, very humble, and we saw like a training video of him going to absolute war with Gordon Ryan the other day. And J-Rod over here is obviously, J-Rod. And so it should be a pretty good match. So let's just get into it. I don't know if this is the finals. I think it might be. But again, like for me, I don't really follow jiu-jitsu per se because I do so much of it in the week that I don't want to take it home per se. So I didn't actually watch all of the matches as they were happening. I just kind of find them on YouTube, you see. So we get into I like this fucking chimp posture by Bodoni. I apologize if I'm butchering the name, by the way. Because he's a big dude, but he looks very technical, and you can see how he's already backing away from J-Rod, and the off balancing there that we saw, if we watch his left hand here, this left hand is like scooping over the top and then down and through to off balance J-Rod off to J-Rod's right, and he'll expose the left leg here, as you can see. And then if he wanted to, he could be like scooping in for that leg with the hand, and really wrestling. But again, in the first kind of stages of a jiu-jitsu match, you don't want to be burning too much juice. And you can even see the difference between I've been over this before, and I've been told that I cock ride Gordon a lot. But again, I just like good jiu-jitsu, and at the moment, Gordon's the best we have at jiu-jitsu, so we learn what we can from the best because there's a reason why he's the best. And it's like if you separate jiu-jitsu from Gordon as its own entity, Gordon is the closest approximation of perfect play we have. And so if you look at the body positioning and the body language, is that both of these guys are tense. They're tense as fuck, and they're burning a lot of juice. Whereas Gordon purposely relaxes his body in the first stages because he knows that he can change gears, up and then up and then up and then up if he needs to. But if he's always operating at mid-gear when he doesn't need to, he's going to be burning a lot of his fuel tank, and so these boys are already burning more juice than probably what they need. But again, if it's World Finals or ADCC, then it's a bit hard to not do that. And so we see, I like what we're seeing here is that they're actually wrestling. They're not interlacing fingers together to try and stall. And they're trying, and you can see how Bodoni here is snapping down a lot. And he's really straining J-Rod's back muscles here. So he'd be burning, forcing the burning of juice, and stand-up's really, really hard because if you look at this posture, this is basically like a quarter squat the entire time because you need to in order to not get double-legged. And so it inherently burns a lot of juice, and if you can force your weight through the top of the other person's head, they have to fight that because otherwise they get snapped down towards the floor. And it just all goes to shit really quickly. And so I really like what I'm seeing here with that off-balancing off to the side because of the exposure of the foot. And you can see on Bodoni's face here, he knows he's better at wrestling. He knows that he could snap that leg up if he wished to. And so we'll see what happens, I love the inside tie clinch, the inside grip as well for the drive-bys and fly-bys. And you can see how J-Rob was also starting to try and pummel Bodoni's head down, but it wasn't working. And Bodoni's definitely bigger. Look at the fucking size of him. Better you than me there, J-Rod. And I really love that posturing here. So So like again, this type of setup, if this hand comes free behind the head, because you can see how Bodoni's got his posture off to the right here, he's like almost exposed, like he's rotating his left shoulder in and his right shoulder out, and he's exposing the space in front for the flyby. So like it's J-Rod has to back away, otherwise he's going to get like launched forwards, kind of like what we saw happen to Marangali with Pixley, and then all sorts of crap can happen to you, for lack of better words. I love that. There's so much detail here. This grip, control of the wrist. I love watch this left hand of Bodoni. See how he used J-Rod's grip to circle over the top and pass into like an arm drag. So now he frees the hand and can start clubbing in behind the head. And now all of a sudden that's a very difficult position for J-Rod if Bodoni wanted to push that pace. There's such a beautiful movement. That's actually something to really pay attention to, using that weave motion over the top. And he's just doing it over and over and over. And you can see how he's always encouraging Jay to go one side or the other. And he's forcing the issue of burning out the back muscles, and he's forcing the issue of making Jay respond and back away. And so this is a really good case study in how to be technical aggressive without being physical aggressive, while also having the physicality to back up the technical. And you can see how like he's forcing these reactions by body positioning and mundane actions on repeat. So like the hand circling, the head snap down, that type of thing. It's all basic actions. And then like the shoulders rolling in and then out is all basic actions. But he's forcing so much reaction from Jay here, just by technical positioning. And then you can see how he's like shuffling forwards steps at a time, that sort of thing. And so he's forcing a huge reaction backwards. And then like you can see how Jay's getting tired because his head's getting snapped down easier and easier and easier. And the club and the pummel, and like, how do you even go about approaching this fucking gorilla? And beautiful type of mat return. So we're here, and Jay manages to get onto the leg, but again, it's another case study in not overreacting and not necessarily panicking, even if something like this happens. So Bodoni is shoving Jay's head down, and Jay managed to latch onto the leg. If Bodoni wanted to, he could like donkey kick out, and Jay would lose this now because the leverage is too much on the head. But like, this is an opportunity for Bodoni, who recognizes he's better at wrestling, to start looking for uchimatas and mat returns and things. So he allows the leg to come up. He scoops on the inside of the thigh to protect the takedown attempt straight away. See how he's controlling the inside hand. He gets a whizzer wrap, and then because the leg's on the inside, he can start immediately looking for big kicks through the middle, and this ends up in the mat return. And you see how all of a sudden, like I tried to teach the other day, he's hooked and he's hopping backwards around the corner and in as he turns his body. And now all of a sudden, what that forces is like a lift and like a Superman posture from Jay. And then you can see how off balance he is. So Jay's trying to step out, and then wants to get like his own hip toss in, because again, an underhook is still very powerful. So if he manages to get hips in front of Bodoni's here, he will end up doing like a hip toss. So Bodoni doesn't allow it, kicks through, and then back through the middle. And then uchimatas to the floor. So this is what we call a mat return, where you're not quite flat on your back, but you're still like in a 4-point guard. But then Bodoni just commits so heavily to the kick up and over the top that he ends up getting J-Rod down. Now Jay is like a scrambly little fuck, and he's very tensilely strong, as all jiu-jitsu athletes are. And so he's not just accepting the takedown. You know, he just fucking head spikes into the mat there. If that were me, I would probably have accepted the takedown rather than break my fucking neck. But that's the reason why I'm not very good at jiu-jitsu. And so we get to here where Bodoni's trying to flip him over the top, and I don't actually understand, with the head coming forwards and like the hips rolling over the top, how Jay manages to not just get fucking flattened. But he reminds me of one of my students that's got the core strength just to hold himself up. And because he's attached to the arm, the foot comes over the head straight away for an armbar attempt. And then Bodoni has to respond to this, has to respect it, because if he commits forwards, he's going to get armbarred straight away. And so now we force the separation. Bodoni puts in the gas to try and hold on, and J-Rod's doing like shrimps, but like super core shrimps. So he's trying to posture out so he can get the shoulder up and through, framing on Bodoni so that he can get back up to his feet. And then he doesn't quite manage it, and so Bodoni follows that down really, really well. Even though Jay did a good job of forcing that separation. And so you can see how Bodoni's already latching onto the hips and he's staying heavy and forwards, and he just like hunts J-Rod down. And straight away, he like wrapped over the top. And now all of a sudden, he's starting to look for the back control. So J-Rod's in a bit of trouble here. Defends really nicely. Bodoni knows that if Jay manages to secure the wrist, Jay will get out of the back control. So you see how deep that hand is. That's a huge body wrap now. And what we'll be looking for is, because the elbow's on the other side, the hand's on this near side hip, elbow's on the other side, like that, or like that with his arm. You know, what this allows to do is the elbow will pull on the far side hip around the corner as this near side pulls in, and the knee helps to tap J-Rod's knee in. And so in this like corkscrew rotation, we're going to find that J-Rod's hip at the top comes down to the floor, because there's enough torque that Bodoni can start pulling his elbow into the top hip. Now with the seatbelt grip at the top, he can start using his elbow to flare the head as well. And he'll start sitting into back control. And he'll either expose space on the inside for the first hook, or he'll expose space on the outside for the far side hook. And it will just depend on J-Rod's reaction. Because J-Rod might be trying to Granby roll this way over that near side shoulder, turning his head down around the corner, and then like forward roll into leg splayed, you know, into a guard. But we can see the knee insert now, and so like this is like the slow and steady approach to starting to take the back. Instead of forcing the knee through, we open up the space and now force the issue of space opening on the other side. And so you can see how we're already setting up the power Nelson. And then it's a very difficult position now for J-Rod to play, because the hooks are going in. You can see how he's forced to react, and then space opens up. And then, yeah, we get like underhooks and things, and now the space is really opened up, so I wouldn't be surprised if this foot goes in a second. Outside foot steps over the top, and now we're just looking for that opportunity to start getting the hooks in straight away. It's very technical play, very, very good technical play here. Yeah, you can see already how that, like the space opened. I love what I just saw there from Bodoni. I would love to roll with him, because he seems like he'd just fuck you up in a really nice way. And you can see how like he's what he's doing is he's shovel scooping. I fucking love doing this to take back from belly down back control. His elbow's flaring forwards into the back of the shoulder as he's shovel scooping back the opposite way, using the knee as a counter lever on the inside knee. Now check this out. This is really cool. Just by the mechanical action of the elbow going forward, the knee going backwards, this hook pops in. See, because he's using that outside leg as well to push the hook into place. I didn't actually catch that, but that's beautiful play here. So he's forcing the first hook in by forcing the heel over the top of it, by exposing the space so that the knee can go in, and then he just slides the heel over the top. And that's a really cool way to take a hook. And now because he has double underhook, he gets proper back control. Power Nelson as J-Rod just stands up. Of course he does. And then this is a very difficult position now for this young man to play. But J-Rod, beautiful positioning, manages to force the issue. So if this was like me, firstly I would have lost by now. But assume I was actually good at jiu-jitsu. If this was me in Bodoni's position, I'd be very tempted just to like cling super fucking tight here and try and burn out J-Rod's ability to hold me. Instead though, like Bodoni slips because he wants to save energy, and then he goes for like this gift wrap. And now what that allows is it allows like this really cool, like a turtle retreating into its shell. J-Rod is like shuffling backwards and is encouraging Bodoni off the top. And so he manages to stand up and slip out of everything, and then Bodoni is in the bottom of a guard now. And just accepts the position and gets ahead on the next rather than trying to fight it and then lose even more ground. So it's a really good shout by Bodoni just to accept the loss there. Because he could be going for this arm crush if he wished. It's most likely not going to work, and then what will end up happening is he'll end up in like a head triangle on the bottom of a side control. So he opts for resetting into the guard. And you got the snake out. And then Bodoni opts to reset into the bottom of the guard, and then gets ahead on that position. So it's a good decision making, but I don't think he was quite prepared for the aggressiveness with which J-Rod was going to attack that guard. So J-Rod beautifully controls that ankle, pushes it down, and just fucking goes for it, because in his training he's just really good at just going for it. Now all of a sudden this is the guard position that Bodoni's playing from, which is a bit of an uphill battle. And so he's forced to do bench presses and do big shrimps just to come back into the fight. And he's done a really good job of leveraging that priority hand away so he can get his hips free. And then any scramble would end up with J-Rod out here somewhere. So there's nowhere close to the hips, and then it just wouldn't be very good. You know, it wouldn't work really. And then there's every likelihood that you get inverted on and like lose to leg locks and things. So both of these boys, you know, like deciding to allow each other to stand up. And something else to note as well is that control of that outside wrist is stopping the back take. It's really, really cool. So this type of like controlling this priority hand, because what ends up happening as you roll forwards, you're exposing your back by definition if this hand can close in over the top. Because the inside leg just goes over the knee and then the chest slides around the back and you get chest to chest. But because Bodoni's controlling that wrist so beautifully, J-Rod can't actually go around the side, because otherwise the space opens up too much and then he loses the position anyway. So it's really neat that Bodoni understands this position to the point where control that wrist, the back is safe. And like, how the fuck do you even come to that conclusion mid-match? Just experience and skill, 20 years of doing jiu-jitsu. But it's really, really awesome that, like, I'm holding your wrist, you can't take my back, even though you can see it, is a thing. And so both of them allow each other to stand up, and then we get back into our wrestling. It's kind of just more of the same, really cool actions. And we'll just keep watching it because the match is like 20 minutes long, so we'll get through it. Because I don't want to analyze every single snap down, basically, because the ideas remain the same. Snap the head down so you can expose legs or expose flybys, that sort of thing. The forehead to forehead is good control and posture and all the rest of it, and really nice takedown there by J-Rod. Bodoni opts to allow the takedown in order to go for a guillotine. And so we can see how Bodoni is over the top of the head and gets like the snap down as Jay just commits to the leg. And then this really nice like grabbing onto the hip and turning the corner as you whip the knee out the way. It's a really cool way to finish the single leg. And Bodoni knows that he's going down, so he just opts to secure the grip and then start hunting for the guillotine. And then J-Rod picks him up by his fucking neck, and I don't know how he survives this, but manages to shake his bum, like twerks Bodoni out of the guillotine. If only that worked for the French, huh? Twerk their way out of the guillotine. I don't know how the fuck you don't just strangle yourself there, but whatever. And so we're into like this guard play, this type of leg positioning where like weaving over the top is really, really neat. And you can see how Bodoni's keeping his knees into his chest, and he's not really stressed by getting the hooks in underneath yet. He's just maintaining the guard, and you can see how by virtue of keeping the knees in and the feet towards the center, the hooks end up underneath the leg anyway. And so now we're into like a disconnected like half guard with a butterfly hook. And in my mind nowadays, like this is a recent sort of revelation, if you will, is that a half guard is actually much more of an open guard than a closed guard. So you're not necessarily trying to keep them down, because the idea is that they want to win, and so they have to actually engage you at some point. And so you're not doing work keeping them there, because as we saw, both of you should be happy just to stand up again, and you should get more confident with your wrestling. So if you're on the floor, you shouldn't really be that stressed by the idea that they can move around, because you should be much more mobile and with your shrimping and your shoulders. And so you shouldn't be really committing your resources to keeping them there. You should be committing your resources to sweeping them. And so we see that here where Bodoni is not really putting that much pressure down through the foot, but instead he's like keeping his knees into his chest, and he's using the butterfly hook that J-Rod just tried to strip out the way, and he's on his side, you know. And so this is a really beautiful guard because it opens up so many attacking opportunities, and you can see how much Bodoni is on his side here. He's hiding the inside space, even though Jay looks like he's putting his head there, because the inside space is actually somewhere over here, not up here. And so what ends up happening is if Jay starts pummeling forwards, Bodoni can just simply pull the shoulder out the way, and then the inside space comes with it. Guard pass is dead. No worries. But what we end up happening is this inside butterfly hook that Jay's sitting on the entire time trying to make progress ends up quite lethal. And so you can see like the frames are quite nice, and Jay's just trying to climb over the top. I don't like this for Jay, to be honest with you. Like I kind of do, I kind of don't. He's pushing on the knee down and just trying to step straight over the top of it, relying on his balance to stop himself from getting swept backwards. But it works out way too well. Way too well for him. I think as well, like there is something to be said for just having a fucking go. You know, like just having a go. Because a lot of the time, I say this to my students a lot, is that you shouldn't really believe the other person's winning. You should just have a go. And so if Bodoni was a bit more aggressive and he was sweeping, that would be a bad decision. But because in this match, Bodoni has actually been quite passive, and we saw that with the wrestling, that he's not really been going for wrestling techniques. He's just been trying to strain Jay's back out. You can be pretty confident that he's just like flowing in a flow state, so you can actually be pretty confident just stepping over the top. And more often than not, what's actually stopping you from winning is you rather than them. It's believing that you're going to get swept if you have a go rather than actually getting swept. And so obviously you still need balance, and then Bodoni knows that this is not great, so he's starting to posture and he's forced into using a lot of juice, and then he's just going to start shrimping. And then he gets J-Rod doesn't manage to secure the mount there because Bodoni did such a good job of forcing the posture up so that Jay can't get low and then start pinning the shoulders and then the hips on the shrimp. And now Bodoni's rape choking. I don't think we're allowed to say that anymore, so we're going to call it foreplay choking. Both hands on the fucking neck. Just straight up like Darth Vader choking Jay there. Beautiful weaves. And so we can see how Bodoni's trying to control the priority hand. Jay's coming to his right, which means that this is the priority knee, the bottom one, which means that Jay's left hand is the priority hand. And so you can see how like there's a Lego man grip, and then the weave just comes in over the top. And then Bodoni starts looking to get onto his side again. The top shoulder comes up, bottom shoulder goes through. The guard is there. This is a very difficult position for Jay to play. This is a case study in having a really good guard. And I would actually be very interested to see Bodoni versus Gordon, because this type of guard is a fucking nightmare to try and get anything happening with. I'd love to go train with these guys and get fucked up by them and learn from them. And so Bodoni's trying to make connections. He's trying to start. Oh, there's a beautiful passing attempts as well. It's like really smooth by J-Rod. But Bodoni's just like got such a good technical awareness. He's very, very clearly much better than J-Rod, you know. And Jay could pull out a surprise win if he's not careful, but like he's very clearly better because he's shutting down everything just with like little weaves, little hand movements, little hip twitches and all the rest of it. And it's very difficult for... And he's doing it so calmly as well. So we'll watch that sequence again. Because Jay can be explosive. And so it's like a risk to play when you're being calm and collected. But you see how, like, for example, this shuts down the ability to grab onto the hip. Hunting for the other hand forces the hand to come out. That type of thing. Controlling the ankles so the hand gets set for the shoulder. Weaving over the top of the leg. And just like pushing your hips slightly further out to stop the smash pass coming down. You know, getting the knee through to the outside, pummeling the head into where the smash pass wanted to go, controlling the wrist, this type of thing. This leg's going to weave over the top, putting the feet back in the way of where the person would be if they committed to the pass rather than where they are right now. This type of thing is what makes a guard really fucking good. It's because it's shutting it all down preemptively rather than reacting to what's going on. And you can see already, like, he's pushing Jay's head to the side and hiding that bottom shoulder. The chest is so far away from where Jay's head wants to be. And if Jay starts pummeling in, he's just going to move his shoulders out the way rather than trying to force Jay away. And so it's a really good case study in how to have an amazing guard, and it's worth studying. But I mean, there's a reason why he's a 2-time ADCC world champion, right? He's one of the best on the fucking planet, and he makes it look effortless. And this is the first time I'm watching him. This is only for you, Kaio, because you kept on badgering me about this, by the way. For those who don't know, Kaio is my very real life Brazilian. I have a Brazilian of my very own now, so I've actually made it as a coach. He's teaching me Portuguese, but just the bad stuff. Sticky hooks. Rape choke again. Very nice. So Bodoni tries to wrestle up. Jay just fucking turns on the spaz. Holy fuck, bro. Relax. Relax, bro. So Bodoni tries to wrestle up here. He's trying to pull Jay into the hooks so that he can get connection and start to sweep or get onto the legs. But if I had to guess, I would suggest that Bodoni is much more primarily like a top player or a back player to finish matches than he is a leg entangler, just by like what he's going for. Because you can see how he's like trying to pummel... Oh, that's the wrong screen. He was trying to pummel the head down as he was hunting for that leg. Jay managed to get the leg free to the floor. So Bodoni goes for an arm crunch on top. Because if he manages to crunch the head and the arm together, he'll be able to turn the corner and Jay will get brought to the floor. Jay, on the other hand, is already going for the ankle pick because you can see he's like swan necking. This hand pulling down, his arm will cup in behind the head, and you'll like leverage Bodoni's head down as the leg comes through. Sorry, he'll leverage the head down as the leg comes through in like a pinwheel fashion, up and over the top. And so we've got like a race to the finish now. And so Jay manages to just wrench the leg out the way, and Bodoni's reacting to it. He's fucking airborne at the moment. Jay manages to get the takedown and wants to secure it for the points, and just fucking spazzes the fuck out for the guard pass and technical play. Bodoni manages to get the hook back in on the other side and starts rolling Jay to the outside. This hand's going to come in, jam the head down, and the guard pass will be dead. And you can see how he did that. It was very like shifting gears as he needed to, but then back to minimal effort when he didn't need to. Whereas Jay just continued with the aggression. And so the leg weaves are on point, jamming the head, shrimping, sitting up, trying to force the issue, getting the hook back in, pinwheeling Jay over the top, and then the match slows down again. It's just a masterclass, and you can see how he's a bit tired now, but it's a masterclass in being efficient, you know. So they're stopped, they're started again, and we continue. Jay, being a really good sport, he said that Bodoni had the grip on the wrist, so he's giving advantage because he knows it's the right thing to do, as it should be in sports. Very well done, that young lad. And we go from here. So this was a really cool match. We got like Bodoni's now connected the feet together, so you can see that he wanted to keep Jay down, because absolutely fuck that, trying to follow the spazzy fuck around. It's just not fun to roll with people like this, to be honest with you, because it's hurty. Even though it's like good wrestling and it's good jiu-jitsu and he's really good at grappling, it's still a fuck around because you get fucking knees to the face and shit, and it's just not fun. Bodoni seems like the type of dude that when he trains, he'll like do technical jiu-jitsu for 90% of it, go to war for 10% of it, and then do weights and cardio running like on the assault bike or whatever for his fitness. And then he seems like, judging on his style alone, he seems like the type of dude that just loves the technical aspect of jiu-jitsu. And I find myself actually becoming quite a fan of him even over the last 30 minutes, just because of the style he's displaying is the style that I also really love. In terms of guard play, like it's like watching a better version of me, you know. It's fucking cool. And it's the type of guard that I really like to have as well. And so I find myself a fan of him already, just because you can tell like what type of person he is by the style of jiu-jitsu he's playing. And so you can see this guard play is really cool. We're just going to continue it because this is already running into like a 30-minute video, and if you guys are like me, it's a bit much, but that's all right. Hope you guys are enjoying it so far. And so Jay's trying to connect to the hips, as we see. And it's a little bit of a fight. And like Bodoni's tired, but he's definitely still got juice in the tank, because he's set a pace. This is the pace he's been taught to run, and this is the pace he'll run for fucking ever. And so like he's tired, but he's not exhausted yet, if you see what I mean. Controlling the chin works both ways. Forcing the chin up and away and then tilting the spine is a very good way to stop someone's strength. So this type of non-consensual foreplay choke is a really good way of stopping guard passes like this. And I love not going on the neck, even though that's a good way of forcing the stop, because they choke themselves. But I prefer going on the chin to escape body locks. And it's just a very good way to escape a body lock. And so we're here. I love this idea that Bodoni's going for. You see how the knee is still really close to the chest. He's touching, but he's not reaching, overextending. And you can see how he's starting to hunt with his hands. He's raising to meet the threat rather than waiting back here somewhere. And then like he's hunting for the head, and then the distance management from both of these guys is extreme, you know, because if one gets too close, so Jay gets too close, he gets swept. If Bodoni overextends, he gets passed, and then that's just the reality. And so you can see how they're both backing forwards and out and in and out. Like the slight little adjustment there, he moved like that much on the screen, you know, is enough to keep the guard in this situation. And so it's a fucking fuck around to try and play against this. But again, if this is finals of ADCC and you're 10 minutes into the match, you want that sweet prestige, then you want to be doing mundane actions like this on repeat, because you don't want to get into a bad spot where you can't recover from just because you're impatient, basically. And the reality is, against two relatively equivalently skilled opponents, even though Bodoni is better than Jay in my mind, Jay's still close enough to be putting in like a good match. You don't want to be playing like if Bodoni allows a deep crossface in mount, he's going to lose without a huge amount of effort, and so more than likely he'll lose eventually because he'll burn his gas tank reserve. And so you don't want to be putting yourself into bad spots early just because like that's your habit, or you get impatient to make the match progress. And like I'm guilty of this when I play chess, is I won't take a draw because I want to win, and so I'll make a bad move to make the other person make a move, but then I fucking lose, and it's like, well, okay. And there is something to be said for eventually you need to play for a win, especially in jiu-jitsu if we're talking about that, but you don't want to be allowing the other person advantage that you can't recover from. And so this match is another good case study in how to make little micro adjustments that doesn't give the other person advantage that you can't recover from. We just saw it again. Check this out. Check out Bodoni's shrimps. Right there. Tiny little shrimp. That was enough. Tiny little shrimp. Look at his shoulder. He's going to pull it back around the corner in a second. Oh, Jay's just going to spaz out again. And so Bodoni's forced into catching the leg. Because Jay didn't have control over the shoulders properly, Bodoni was able to get the leg in. And so now Jay's starting to try and pass the guard with a little bit more of a gear shift upwards. So he's going faster. And, he's like trying to go around the corner, but because he opted for speed over control, he by definition didn't have control, and now Bodoni's going to come up on the single leg. And it's going to be very difficult to recover from because Jay's way too committed over the top, and we have this rhino charge double leg. It's like a turtle flip, right? Pancake toss double leg. And so Bodoni just has to stay and keep hold, and Jay's lost all control because he opted for speed rather than technique, which is, again, a good reason why you should be like Bodoni and Gordon and not like Jay and so on. Is because like if you got it's a harder road because the physicality will win 80% of the matches, but if you have the physicality to match up the technique and the patience, you will just end up winning over time. And you can see how, because Jay once again opted for speed, Bodoni was able to get out of it, stood back up, and then started hunting for a tackle. I really like what Jay did there to defend this. But like Jay in this instance doesn't have any control, and so he just allows the stand up. And then Bodoni goes for the tackle, and Jay like squats into it, which I really quite enjoy. He's like a B-1 battle droid from Star Wars, isn't he? And then we're into the single leg, and Bodoni manages to shove the head down, slips on the mats a bit because fuck you with your grip, I guess. Hunts for that tackle. Doesn't quite manage it. Yeah, slips on the mats, almost loses the footing. Hunts for the tackle. Jay manages to jam the head down really nicely and almost gets the back, but again, because it's a scramble and there's no control yet, Bodoni just turns to face, and then here we are. And so Bodoni's on that single leg now. He's going forwards, and because there's no threat of the head, he's just going to keep going forwards and up and in. And now this is a difficult spot for Jay to be again because Bodoni's using that size difference, the size advantage, to start pummeling forwards. Both of them are fucking tired though, so they're having a little bit of a rest. And so Bodoni's like, I was taught this as like the rhino flip charge because it's like you're a rhino coming forwards in between the legs, and you use your head to lift the groin tall, and then you start pulling one leg down and the other leg up and over the top. And then it's difficult for the other person to stay on top. Jay's doing a beautiful job right now of sprawling out heavy. I don't know what the fuck that was though. He decides to go further into the lift, like to try and like pull himself through the guard. I'm not even. Never mind. Fucking not bothering with that because it's lost him this whole position. That decision making was fucking retarded. He was doing so well at backing away and then like getting underhooked so he could start circling the top, getting the front headlock position, get your chest on the top of the back, and then he decides to dive into the fucking tackle. He just dives over the top and gets fucking tackled. fucking young spazzy people, I fucking swear. And then he gets like lifted and shifted over the top. He can't get away, and then Bodoni's on the back again. And that was because he decided to go into the tackle. That was fucking dumb. And I hate that was a decision at this level. I hate that was a decision at this level. So anyway, double underhook, seatbelt wrap, and we're starting to look for the hook. And so we get the first hook, shovel scoops and all the rest of it. I love this foot at work here. Drag over the top, hook, and then we're starting to look to climb on the back now and cross the feet, and then power Nelson. Yep, good. This time it does work because Jay's a little bit out of gas, so he can't just muscle his way up. And so Jay's doing his best to stop the other hook from coming in, but he's sacrificing defense at the neck right now. And so it's going to work because the choke's not in, and stopping this hook from coming in is the first step to the back control. So Bodoni opts for the power Nelson again to start forcing the head through, and then the hip will come over the top by virtue of being attached to where the head's going. So he wants those points. He wants the hooks in, and then he gets because Jay is starting to like turn, and the head's traveling away from Bodoni. Bodoni gets the grip in again, the seatbelt grip in again. So he wants that hook. You can see how he missed it, and he's probably going to shovel scoop on the hands, and then start looking to clear the space in here so the foot can climb in for the second hook. And then the back, there goes the back control. And so this will be points now, I believe, because we're in the back half of the 10-minute match. So it's a 20-minute match. It's a bit rough. Body lock comes in, and there we go. He scores the points. And so J-Rod's doing everything right. He's coming to the right-hand side of the lock so he can start looking to escape, defending the chokes really nicely from scooping in underneath the chin, and he's starting to travel away from Bodoni. Beautiful little scoop. This is good technique here, where he scooped over the top, underneath, brought the heel towards him, starts reaching for it, starts looking to escape, but Bodoni is not having it and threatens chokes. Relocks the body lock, and now is a very tough position for Jay to be playing. And there's really good hand fighting that we're seeing. So Jay's doing a really good job defending this, because he's not just allowing Bodoni to hold him in place. He's like actively trying to crunch away from the back control while defending the chokes and while stripping grips. So he's crunching forwards and then weakening the grips that are keeping him backwards, so that Bodoni has to do a lot of work holding him in place here. It's really cool to see. And like it's a brief little rest position in a way, but his diaphragm's getting crushed. But like when I say rest, I mean it's technical play now, because he's positioned himself where he can't just get like a choke slammed on, unless he's not careful, of course. And so you can see how he's trying to wriggle in the position the entire time, and he's trying to get his shoulders to the mats to turn to face Bodoni, and he's forcing Bodoni to do a lot of work now to keep the position, which is why personally I prefer mount more than I do back. But again, I'm not very good at jiu-jitsu, so take from that what you will. Beautiful, beautiful work by J-Rod. So you can see how already his hips are starting to turn, and Bodoni's not really on the back anymore. Like he is, but he isn't. Because the hips are turning, the shoulders will follow, and then because Jay's defending really nicely, he's got one-on-one, and his hips are already free, it's going to be very hard for Bodoni to start following this back control. And so, and Bodoni's forced into just holding with a closed guard here, which allows Jay to start sprawling out forwards. And then I love this. Pushing the hook off helps to slide Bodoni down the back control, forgoing the defense of the neck because there's no threat here, and just standing up and pulling that top shoulder through is what defended that guard, that back control, really nicely. And so I'm not sure why Bodoni got another 3 points. I think it's because he re-secured the back control. And so I'm not sure when that happened. I missed it, sorry. But like getting the hooks in again. So he's got 6 points now for 2 lots of back control. Jay manages to push the inside leg down. And then because he's got an underhook, he can start like flipping over the top for the pass. But again, no control over the hips because Bodoni is expecting this, just follows with the knee in and then manages to like invert back into a guard. So it's very, very difficult to pass when someone's so good at crunching their knees in. And it's beautiful weaves. Once again, these weaves, I can't stress this enough, weaving to where the opponent will be is way better than weaving to where they are. So pay attention to this top one. It's going to weave all the way over to here somewhere rather than weaving to here. Can you see? See how it went all the way out here? Now we can bring it back in the way and it shuts down the whole guard. It's very, very nice. Very good nugget for all of us to learn. And so I love this control over the inside space, control over the occupation of the inside space, and control over that far side arm. It prevents Jay from committing forwards too much. So yeah, Jay has to be careful because like the overextension, the zombieing is what my coach used to say. And Neil, if you ever watch these videos, A, welcome to the channel. B, thank you very much for teaching me jiu-jitsu. This far side arm is exposed because you have to be like there's in my observation, people no longer respect the basic submissions like triangle, omoplata, armbar from like a closed guard type thing, just because everyone knows about them. It's not advanced stuff like leg locks and things, and because everyone knows about them, everyone kind of forgets about them, so they stop respecting them because the idea is, well, like all you have to do to shut it down is shift your shoulder just slightly up, for example, and have good body positioning, then it's all shut down, and therefore you don't have to worry about it. Therefore we forget about that and we just play like this. But then like, because you forget about it, you don't respect it, then you get caught with it. And so it's really worthwhile keeping in your repertoire omoplatas and triangles, because they're very, very good submissions to threaten people with. Omoplatas for sweeps and triangles obviously for submissions. And then like because Jay's committing forwards, he's forgot that he's exposed his arms by zombieing, you know, like the Romero zombies. And so Bodoni here is like forcing the control over the shoulder. Jay drops the shoulder down, which exposes the other one. And so Bodoni gets on the inside, manages to free, and then completely switches to the opposite side that was exposed. And now Jay has to react again. And because Bodoni can extend him out because he has the butterfly hooks in, and he's flexible, I mean, look at this fucking foot. It's on his chest. Just pull it in front of Jay's face. And now this is a very difficult position for Jay to play. And more than likely, Bodoni's going to get a sweep out of this or force the fact of Jay's like using a lot of effort to get out. And you can see how sloppy that pass attempt just there was because Jay had to use so much effort to get out of that attack. And so once again, Bodoni's just keeping like a really simple guard in play by hiding that bottom shoulder around the corner and just bringing the knees into the chest. Even though this looks like a pass, this is not a pass. Jay's not going to stop Bodoni from going turtle if he needs to. And then like the turtle run back into a guard is really neat. So he like pretends to go to turtle, so he gets the top hip up just so he can draw the bottom knee through. There you go. And then the top knee comes out and stops the pass around the outside. GG easy. And then we're going to reset, skip. Going to reset into the middle of the match. They're both quite tired now. Once again, Jay's trying to outspeed Bodoni, but because he doesn't have any control over the hips or the shoulders, he's not going to stop someone this size from just rolling to their belly. And because Bodoni's got such experience in what's actually going on, he's not afraid about committing to these decisions. So he just goes to turtle and ends up in that like pancake flip tackle again. And then he's just taking his sweet time here because he doesn't want to end up in a scramble. Because, you know, like you don't want to scramble. You want to force the other person to scramble. And while you're being technical so that they burn more juice. And I enjoy what I'm seeing here. Jay tries to get out. So Bodoni just does a Granby roll, like an inversion. And then, you know, if Jay commits forwards, he's going to get inverted on and like tornado guarded up over the top. And so he's forced to back out, which allows Bodoni's hips to come in, his head to go out, and then he hides the inside space, and then he's going to weave because Jay's going to try and leg drag this way, spin around the outside with his hips, and then this foot's going to come over the top to where he's going to be. Or he's just not going to have the juice to commit to it, so Bodoni can just open up the leg and stop it straight away. And so it's again like a really, really nice guard. And it's a fucking nightmare to try and pass this guard. And the only thing that Bodoni needs to be trying to do now is get in underneath. But again, he's winning on points, so he doesn't actually need to do anything but stop the pass and be aware of like slapping on heel hooks and things and trying to go for like quick leg entanglements to win. And so J-Rod here, in my mind, this is incorrect play. Like leaning through a straight leg frame is just like, you're not going to do much with this grip. You're much better off taking this grip and then backing away, pulling the leg with you towards the floor, then re-engaging over the top. And then, yeah, like what we see Bodoni allowing right now. But the problem with this is that he's got hold of the other wrist like a Marcelo wrap, and the other knee is already into his chest rather than foot towards the floor, like what would be forced. And so trying to pass from here, J-Rod's in the guard rather than in the pass position. And now it's a very difficult, and you can see how Bodoni's already pulling the foot up. And this type of play is really cool. I personally love having the knee into the chest, and then, because I'm also quite flexible, having my foot up here or here somewhere. So if any of us have seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine with Captain Holt and the balloon arch, it's like I'm screaming vindication in my head. See? The person better than me is doing it, guys. That means it's good. And fucking... have you ever seen someone do a cartwheel to get out of someone holding your wrist? Fucking look at the chimpanzee death grip. Dude, his cock must have no fucking feeling with how tight his grip is. Imagine, like, just, you know, like, he's just about ripped it off, hasn't he? So he's trying to pull J-Rod in, and now the problem is if J-Rod doesn't respect this, he's going to get triangled, he's going to get armbar, etc., etc., etc. So he just decides to fucking cartwheel. Oh. But it looked cool. So that's neat. Hey, that's what Matt did. Matthew, this is what you looked like. This is what you looked like, and it was cool. Like a fucking bow tie. Bow ties are cool. But we're into fezzes now. Too bad it didn't do fucking shit because you got caught on the foot and it dragged Bodoni with you into the guard. Once again, good case study in how to shut down a guard pass just by moving your feet into the way, like in the way. So what should J-Rod be doing is the question. Well, pretty well largely what he's doing now, but just taking way more time to put pressure through the frames. But it is very difficult because Bodoni's bigger. You know, he's bigger than Jay. He's older than Jay, which means he has some of that man strength, that juicy, fucking PH man strength. You know, farm boy with a PH. And whether or not Jay's on gear or not doesn't matter. Point is the muscle density, the bone density, and all the rest of it is higher for Bodoni. And so like trying to force the strain of the frames is a really hard thing to do, because burning someone like Bodoni's gas tank down in the time limit you have, in order to force mistakes so you can advance, is a difficult ask. You know, it's a hard ask. Bodoni's having the time of his fucking life. They look like they're chatting to each other. Like, I'm a terrible competitor because I do the same thing. Like, I get swept. I'm like, fuck, that was cool. And I feel like if I ever got to a stage where I was competing against these guys, I'd be telling J-Rod to fucking relax right now. And then I'd get in trouble for trash talking. So Jay's trying to push forwards. Yeah, you can see how, like, exactly what I was saying before, Bodoni just has to be aware of Jay trying to jump into, like, leg entanglements straight away. And so he can't quite manage to pass guard because Jay's trying to jump through, but Bodoni just simply lifts his legs, and so his legs make a barrier. Understanding the fact that if you just lift your heels will force a barrier is such high, it's like such simple understanding, but it's such high level understanding, that all you needed to do to guard is just lift your fucking feet in the air. Jay tries to go for an ankle lock, so he can't pass guard, so he sits down for an ankle lock, and he gets a really tight fucking ankle lock. So what's happening here is this is Bodoni's foot like this. Let me shift colors. Jay's arm is through. Let me shift colors again. Oh, there we go. Jay's legs are like this. And then Bodoni, and his shin is over the top of Bodoni's leg. And so what's ending up happening right now is Bodoni's leg is in the middle, like we see, being wrapped, which allows a lot of torque through that ankle because the heels are going down into the top of the shin, which allows you to leverage up and break the foot. And it's a very, very tight position. But Bodoni is not an amateur, as it were, and so he just turns his fucking knee out to the side, thus protecting the Achilles tendons, because the heel's going in, the toes are going out, the knees to the side, so any torque goes sideways through the shin, and you're gonna have to break his like literally break his fucking ankle instead of breaking his Achilles tendon and things like this. And then all of a sudden, because the knee's going to the floor, pushing down, and he gets a seatbelt grip in, he's going to take the back. Bow, bow. Of course, the threat's still there. So if Bodoni makes a mistake, Jay will rip that ankle off. But just once again, like I said before, being aware of these threats and being technical as you deal with them is, yeah, like you can see how like the torque is on there. But Bodoni is the type of person that would let his fucking ankle break for a minute. And he'll take the world championship with a broken ankle. You know, once it's broken, it's like, well, it hurts, but I'll just get surgery on it. It's fine. I'll take the gold medal. And so he's just going to sit here. And Jay pulls out the mongrel and starts to smother. But this is a good way to get the head in behind your shoulder and get smashed down to the ground, you know. And so they both look like they're enjoying themselves. You know, Bodoni's like, all right, oh, fuckface, I'll smother you then. And then Jay's only hope here is if he finishes this submission inside the minute. But it's not going to happen. He doesn't have the torque anymore. Like, this is such a strong grip, pushing the knee pushing down, the heel coming back around the corner, the chest encouraging Jay to the floor. Is going to be mount or back, you know. He's lost, completely lost here. As you can see, yeah, mount or back. Hook goes in. We get right now he's getting the chokes threatened and all the rest of it, and we're just going to see another power Nelson or mount, because Jay would commit to whatever. And yeah, we're going to see back, shoulder pin, mount, back, shoulder pin, rotating around the cylinder that is Jay. and just allowing Jay to move and then moving around him rather than trying to force the issues. So now we see like the new wave pressure with the double unders, head to the floor, tilting the chin up, pinning the head in, and then starting to take mount with a half guard. And this is all over now. Double unders in mount, and then time goes off, and Bodoni gets his 3 points for mount. So very dominating display. These guys are very respectful to each other. They were smiling the whole match, and they went to fucking war. Now, Jay's only been training jiu-jitsu itself for 3 years. I don't know what his other grappling experience is, but just to do away with the myth, there is no fucking way on this planet that you can do jiu-jitsu for only 3 or 4 years and end up as one of the best in the world, unless you have prior experience in grappling or sports in general. Do you know what I mean? Like, or transferable skills. It's not really possible. And so like he's been training jiu-jitsu for 3 years, but his brother and he have probably been wrestling for fucking decades, In any way, J-Rod is becoming one of the best on the planet very, very quickly, because historically it took 25 years. He's been training for 3 years, and he's already one of the best on the planet. So it's exciting to see what he might be able to do, because he did pressure Bodoni here quite a fair bit. But in that match, in saying that, Bodoni never really looked in danger of losing, if that makes sense. He always had an answer for everything, and he looks like a fucking gorilla, He's deeper in the chest than I am fucking wide, And so it was a very good match. Ended up winning gold on 9-0. I believe that this is the finals. And it's exciting to think what Jay might become in the future. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed. Please let me know what you thought, what match you'd like to see next. And if you'd like to join the Discord, it would be a pleasure to have you along. I'll see you in the next one.